Once upon a time, in a small lively village called Amatu, a baby boy was born under extraordinary circumstances. His name was Akachi. Akachi was a special child that was born after so many years of waiting. Before he was conceived, his mother Adana was cursed by a very powerful and wicked witch doctor after she refused to marry him and become his seventh wife. Back then, Adana was a very beautiful maiden, the pride of her parents and the entire village. The villagers loved and adored her, not just because of her beauty, but her kind heart. She was always available to help those in need, and she never frolicked around like the other maidens. When there was a problem in the village, she would volunteer herself to solve the problem, so the entire village held her in the highest esteem. Things turned into chaos when one evening, Aduba, a very powerful witch doctor, known for his wickedness and ruthlessness when dealing with anybody that crossed his path, laid his eyes on Adana. He lusted after her and wanted her for himself, but Adana was already engaged to be married to her childhood sweetheart, Chimobi. Adana's parents pleaded with the witch doctor to let Adana marry Chimobi in peace, but he refused. "If I cannot have her, nobody else will," he threatened. "Great one, please take pity on us. She's only but a small girl. She's your daughter. Please allow her marry in peace," Adana's father pleaded. "She's a small girl my foot. With that fresh skin of hers, and that ripe and full chest of hers, that my hands have been itchy to touch, I can't let her go," Aduba replied. "Okay, you can have me instead. I'm still young and fresh. But please let my daughter go," Adana's mother said with tears on her eyes, offering herself in place of her daughter. But the witch doctor only laughed menacingly. "What do I do with your old wrinkled body? I want Adana, and nobody can stop me," he said with anger. "I am Aduba the Great. Whatever I want, I get, and nobody can cross me," he boasted. Adana's parents fell to their knees, begging with tears on their faces, but Aduba's resolve was firm. After days of begging, he said, "Okay, since you don't want me to marry her, okay, that's fine by me, but I must taste her honey pot before I let her go. I must press those ripe and juicy oranges on her chest. She must come to my chamber and serve me to my satisfaction. And after I am done with her, anybody can have what is left. That is the only way." Adana's parents returned that evening and told Adana the outcome of what transpired at Aduba's home. "What? What nonsense! I will never allow that old wicked fellow to touch me over my dead body," she vowed. Her parents tried to reason with her as her life was in danger from Aduba, but she refused. "My daughter, you know Aduba and his wicked ways. We don't really have a choice here. You could lose your life. Please reconsider. After all, your life is more important," they pleaded with her, but Adana rejected. "The only person I would give myself to is Chimobi, and no one else. I would rather end my life than sleep with that old wicked man," she said. Days turned into weeks, and Aduba was patiently waiting for Adana to come into his chamber and serve him, but Adana's mind was made up. All effort to reason with Aduba proved abortive, so one night, Adana and her lover Chimobi escaped from their village with the plan of starting a new life in a faraway land out of the reach of the evil witch doctor. When Aduba heard that Adana had escaped without allowing him to have a taste of her honey pot, he got furious. He went to Adana's parents' house and threatened to ruin their lineage. "I can see you have hidden your daughter. You think you are smart, eh? I will show you why I am called Aduba the Great." "Wise one, it is not like that. Please forgive her. She's like your daughter. You know children and their rash behavior. Please temper justice with mercy, great one. Adana's parents begged, but the witch doctor stormed out of their house with fury, threatening to curse their lineage. Adana and Chimobi got to Amatu, a very distant land, and they settled there and got married. After their marriage, they built a beautiful home together and settled in with the new village. Their love blossomed, and for the first time in a long while, there was no threat in their lives. Chimobi started farming, while Adana supported with her petty trade at the village. Things was finally looking good for them, but a great trouble loomed in the horizon. They were now ready to be parents, and they tried to conceive, but nothing was forthcoming. They thought it was just a minor delay, but worry started creeping into their home when they couldn't conceive for years. They decided to check themselves with healers, but they were told they were in perfect condition to bear children. After some time, their worry became full-blown concern. This is no longer ordinary, Chimobi told his wife one evening. We must seek counsel from another source, he said. The next day, he visited a very powerful seer in the village. The seer told him that his lineage had been cursed. My son, the siege over your lineage is very strong. It seems you have offended someone very powerful. This person you have offended went to 7 rivers and 7 forests to curse your lineage. It will be very difficult to reverse this curse, the seer told Chimobi. Wise one, is there nothing to be done? Please help us. The seer told Chimobi to carry out certain rituals to appease the spirits of the 7 forests and 7 rivers. But this is not a guarantee that the curse will be lifted. Only your creator will be able to truly save your life from this siege. Chimobi left the seer's place with sadness in his heart. He had not offended Aduba. He only escaped with his wife, and now his lineage was besieged. He told his wife about what the seer said, and they both carried out the rituals as instructed. A few months later, Adana conceived her first child. Chimobi was elated. They were very happy and thankful that the curse had been lifted. And after a few months, Akachi was born. The night Akachi was born, the sky erupted into a violent storm. Thunder roared and lightning tore through the heavens. The rain poured down in anger as if nature was bearing witness to something spectacular. When Akachi emerged, the midwife, Adana and Chimobi were shocked to their bones at the sight of the newborn baby. The child was different. He had both male and female private parts. They couldn't discern if he was a boy or a girl. Adana and Chimobi stared at their child laying on the cradle with tears in their eyes. They feared for what would become of him or her if the villagers found out about their child's condition. But they had been waiting for years for this child to come, and now that he or she was here, they weren't going to throw him away, but they vowed to protect him with their own life. With determination in their hearts, they decided to keep the child and nurture the child with love. They paid the midwife a huge sum of money to keep their secrets. As Akachi grew, his parents called him one evening and spoke to him. My son, you are very unique. You are also very different. But the villagers might not approve of you if they found out that you are very different. So you must be careful. Do not ever bathe in the village stream. Do not ever urinate where anybody can see you. Do not let anybody except us come close to you and touch you. You must remember to keep your distance from the other children when playing. They warned their child sternly, but with love. And so Akachi was not like the other children his age. He was a quiet child, often preferring to play alone. Whenever the other children bathed and played in the stream, Akachi would watch from afar with sadness on his face. His parents watched him with pain in their hearts as they saw that their child could not enjoy his childhood. But his secret must be protected. Whenever Akachi needed to pee, he would run to a hidden place where no one could see. The other children thought that he was a weird child, Some called him names and others picked on him. The villagers began to whisper about the kind of child he was. Some said he was possessed, while others said he was just being shy. Years passed, and Akachi grew into a fine specimen of a man. He was a hard-working, handsome, and kind-hearted man, the dream of all the maidens in Amatu. Mothers wished for him to marry their daughters and become their son-in-laws. But Akachi was a quiet man who preferred to stay all by himself with no friends, because he had a big secret he had been carrying on his shoulder since childhood, a secret he dared not share with anybody. Akachi was a full-grown muscular man from his head to his waist, but below his wrapper was another story entirely. He had both male and female private parts fully developed. Akachi came of marriageable age, and all the maidens in the village threw themselves at him, but he ignored. He dared not glance at any maiden because of what he was carrying. The villagers started to whisper that maybe something was wrong with him. Some said he might be impotent. Others said he might be possessed, that maybe he had a spirit wife that made him not notice other girls. But Akachi ignored their side talks because he alone knew where the shoe hurts. Years passed, and the side talks about Akachi's marital status got louder. As old as he is, he's yet to be married. What is even surprising me is how this grown man will keep to himself all day, every day. Look at the beautiful, beautiful girls around him, but he is too blind to notice. One of the village women said, "Are you sure all is well with him downstairs? I heard he has never even asked a girl out, not to talk of penetrating. I don't think all is well with him." Another woman chimed in, "When my husband was his age, all the maidens in the village couldn't resist him because of his fire manhood. I had to get pregnant to hook him down before he finally settled down," a third woman said, and they all bursted into a fit of laughter. The talk reached Adana and Chimobi, Akachi's parents' ear, and fear started creeping in once again. They had managed to keep their great secret for many years. Now danger was looming over their heads. They called their son one evening and advised him to leave the village and relocate to a distant land. But Akachi refused. "Mama, I have lived all my life in this village. I have lived like a stranger to everybody and myself because of my condition. Because I am scared that someone will discover my secret. I don't have any friends, not because I chose not to, but because I don't want anyone to find out about what I am. I am supposed to be married by now, but I dare not stay at any maiden. I am tired of running. Whatever wants to happen should happen. I will not leave Amatu," he said as tears threatened to fall. His parents were touched by their son's words. They were not blind to their son's suffering and sacrifice, but they couldn't help but watch in silence. Akachi entered his hut that night with pain in his heart as the floodgates of tears broke. He wept bitterly. All the emotions he had kept hidden all those years all rushed to the surface as he sat on the floor inside his hut. His parents too couldn't sleep that night. They cried for their only child and cursed Aduba for his wickedness. It was around the time for the village New Yam festival that year. The celebration was usually a grand affair. The villagers were busy harvesting their crops and cleaning their homes in preparation for the festival. The atmosphere in the entire village was joyous, as it was the time of the year that farmers gathered to celebrate their bountiful harvest. The day of the festival arrived, and the entire village gathered at the village square. The drummers beat their drums with joyous energy. The dancers danced with all their might. The villagers were all dressed in their best attire. The king and his entourage were seated with joy on their faces, as they were grateful to God for their bountiful harvest that year. Food and palm wine flowed in excess supply. All the maidens in the village were beautifully dressed, as it was also an opportunity to secure a husband for themselves. Akachi was present at the village festival, but he sat under a tree, far from the crowd as always. He observed the celebration from afar, with a mixture of joy and sadness in his heart. Shortly afterwards, a beautiful maiden named Oma came to where Akachi was seated. Oma and Akachi all grew together. She had had eyes for him for years, but Akachi refused to make a move. He liked her too, as she was a very beautiful maiden, but he dared not approach her because of his predicament. Akachi, why are you away from the crowd as usual? What is chasing you? Oma asked with a playful yet questioning tone. You know I've always had eyes for you. I like you so much, and I know you like me too. But I don't know why you keep running away from me. I have turned down suitors because of you, and you have refused to see me as a woman. Or am I not beautiful enough to your liking? Are these hips not broad enough? Or these breasts begging to be touched? Are they not to your liking? Oma asked with frustration on her face. Oma, it is not like that. It's complicated. It's not you, it's me. You are every man's dream, but I can't be with you in the way that you want me to. Akachi replied with pain in his heart. What do you mean, Akachi? Talk to me. You know I won't give you peace in this village until you are mine, she said with a lighter tone. Oma offered Akachi roasted yam and palm oil with some palm wine. I know you have not eaten since morning, and the servers will not remember to give you food because you tucked yourself away at the back. So I brought you this, she said, smiling sweetly. Akachi took the food from Oma and ate and drank all the palm wine, unbeknownst to him that Oma had added a portion to his food. Her father had been pressuring her to accept a suitor, and she had vowed not to marry any other man but Akachi. And Akachi was not forthcoming, so she planned to seduce him and sleep with him after giving him the potion. She planned to get pregnant for Akachi, so he would have no other option but to pay her dowry. A few minutes after eating the roasted yam and palm oil, Akachi started feeling drowsy. What have you done, Oma? What did you give me to eat? Akachi asked with panic. Nothing that would harm you, my love, she replied. Oma led Akachi into his hut. She laid him on his bed and she started taking off her clothes. No, no, no. No, Oma, don't do this. Please don't do this. Akachi cried out weakly as the potion had already started taking effect on him. But his pleas fell on a deaf ear. Oma was determined to get pregnant for Akachi. She took off her clothes completely and walked towards Akachi, who was laying on the bed. His body was weak, but his mind was alert. She approached him on the bed and started taking off his clothing. Akachi pleaded with her to stop, as his secret was about to be exposed, but she didn't listen. Oma, please, I beg you, don't do this. Don't do this to me. Relax. This won't hurt. It doesn't hurt. It's rather pleasurable. I'm sure we will both enjoy this, she said as she smiled at him while taking off the last piece of clothing on him. Her smile turned into shock in a second. She gasped at the sight she saw. What is this, Akachi? She asked as fear gripped her. She had never seen or heard of anybody who had both male and female private parts. Akachi was a full-grown man, but he also had a flower and a hole like that of a woman. Is this why you have refused to marry me? Why are you like this? She asked as tears sprang up in her eyes. I was born this way. That is the reason that I have always avoided you and everybody. I was scared of people knowing my secret. Please, Oma, my life is in your hands. Please don't tell a single soul. Please, I will do anything you want me to do, but please, keep this secret for me. I know it's a lot to ask, but please don't tell anybody. Akachi begged with tears on his face. Oma was short of words. Her thoughts were jumbled. She needed to get out of there to think, to breathe, to process what she just saw. She quickly picked up her clothes and dressed herself, and she ran out of the hut, Akachi calling after her with tears. She went home that night and locked herself inside her room. Her head was messed up as her thought was all over the place. She needed somebody to talk to, but she couldn't tell her parents as she made a promise to Akachi not to tell anyone about his secret. She couldn't eat that night and sleep evaded her. Her parents came knocking asking what the problem was, but she told them that she wanted to be alone. The next day, Oma, who was overwhelmed with thought, went to her best friend Nkechi's house. When she got there, her friend Nkechi saw the state she was in. "What is it, Oma? You look like a mess. Is your father giving you a tough time again because you are yet to accept a suitor?" Oma shook her head in a negative. "Then what is it? Talk to me," Nkechi pressed. "Nkechi, what I'm about to tell you, you must not tell a single soul about it. Promise me you will keep this secret and take it to your grave." Nkechi promised. So yesterday at the festival, I gave Akachi a potion so I could seduce him and get pregnant for him and get my father off my back. And you know I love Akachi more than life itself. You know I've always loved him since we were young. Yes, yes, yes. You told me of that plan. How did it go, my friend? Did you succeed? Nkechi asked with curiosity. So when we got to his hut, I undressed myself and I undressed him. But, but, but what I saw, my friend, what I saw. What did you see? Talk to me, Oma. Nkechi pressed further. Promise me you will never tell anybody about this, my friend. Promise me you will not tell a single soul. Akachi is a fool man. But, but, but what? Nkechi asked as she was getting impatient. But he has a flower and a hole, just like ours too. I don't understand what you mean, Nkechi replied. I mean he has both male and female private parts. Oma dropped the bombshell. Nkechi gasped. Eh? You don't mean it. Oh, 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 is that the reason why he has refused to marry? Wonder shall never end, she said with shock and surprise. Oma left Nkechi's house feeling slightly better after offloading her heart out. But Nkechi couldn't keep the big secret to herself. She confided in her parents that evening and told them all about what Oma had told her previously. She made them promise never to reveal the secret to anyone. But the next day, Akachi's life secret was on the lips of everyone in the village. His word came crushing down as his greatest fear had come to pass. Akachi's name was on everyone's lips in the village. They said all manner of things about him and called him names. I said it that something was wrong with him downstairs. Abomination! How can a human being have both man and woman private parts? I have never heard of such a thing before, one woman said. He is not ordinary, another said. Life became unbearable for Akachi. He could no longer leave his house as people spat on him in disgust as he walked by. They banned him from going to the village stream or even the market. He was ostracized and treated like a patient with leprosy. His frustration boiled over, and one evening, Akachi left his hut to his farm hut far from the village noise. He needed his peace and sanity. A few days later, calamity struck Amatu. A drought like never before started. The village stream, the only source of water, started drying up. The crops on the field started drying up. The animals started perishing, and the villagers started to panic. We have never experienced this before. What is happening? If this continues, we will all perish because of hunger and thirst. Chief Ejiofor lamented. My fellow elders, I've been thinking since last night, and I couldn't sleep. I think Akachi and his parents are the reason behind this calamity, Chief Ebele said. You too? I've been thinking of the same thing, my friend, Ejiofor replied. Akachi's parents are not from this village. They ran here so many years ago and settled here. We welcomed them with open hands. Now they have plagued this land. They have beaten the hands that fed them when hunger nearly finished them. Chief Uba chimed in. They should be banished from this village, or better still, we should sacrifice Akachi to cleanse this land and banish his parents. Chief Ebele suggested. The conversation went on for hours and they all came to the conclusion that Akachi should be sacrificed to cleanse the land. The village elders called for an emergency meeting with the king. They told him of their plans to sacrifice Akachi, but the king refused. No, you cannot sacrifice that young man. He didn't beg to be created that way. I am a father and I have children. I cannot sacrifice the child of another while my children are at home at peace. I will not be a party to this. I wash my hands thoroughly from this. If you must sacrifice him, my lineage will not be a party to this conspiracy. I will not bear any cause that arises from sacrificing an innocent man, the king said as he stormed out of the meeting. The village elders insisted on carrying out the sacrifice, and a day was set. The day of the sacrifice arrived and the people of Amatu gathered in their large numbers, carrying leaves on their hand, clamoring for Akachi to be sacrificed and his parents to be banished. The angry youths were sent to bring Akachi, who was living in a hut on his farm. They seized him and dragged him to the village square, where the angry villagers were gathered. They glared at him with hatred and anger, blaming all their suffering and misfortune on him. Akachi was bound hands and feet, and a pie was prepared for him to be burned alive as sacrifice. His parents stood afar, helpless, as they cried bitterly for their son. They cursed his ill fate and prayed that he was born complete in his next life. Just as they were about to set Akachi on fire, the village chief priest stormed the village square with anger. "Stop right there before thunder will strike you where you stand." The voice of the chief priest echoed. "What do you think you are doing? What has this innocent man done?" he asked. "Great one, he is an abomination. He has both man and woman private parts, so we must sacrifice him to cleanse the land," Chief Uba spoke up. "Shut up your dirty mouth before I command thunder to strike you," the chief priest yelled. "This boy is a covenant child. Despite the curses that has besieged his lineage, he was born. A wicked witch doctor cursed his parents many years ago. That is why he was born this way. In fact, he was never supposed to be born. You cannot touch him, else calamity will befall this land for generations." Fear gripped the villagers. They started dropping the sticks and leaves they held on their hands. The chief priest explained that the drought was a natural phenomenon and that nobody caused it, and that the rain will return at the right time. He advised the villagers to set Akachi free, as he didn't create himself that way, and only his creator knew how his life would play out. As he was yet speaking, lightning tore through the village square as thunder roared. The cloud opened their mouths wide open and rain fell on the land. The people were surprised to see rain after so many months of drought. They rejoiced and set Akachi free. Suddenly, thunder struck Akachi's crouch. He fell to the ground with a great force. His parents rushed towards him in panic. They tried to get him up, but Akachi didn't move. He was unconscious. They screamed, fearing that he had died, but the chief priest assured them that all was in fact well. He advised them to take Akachi home. When they returned to their home, Akachi was still unconscious. They were worried despite the fact that the chief priest had told them that all was well. Akachi laid on his bed unmoving for 7 days. His parents paced nervously outside his hut with worry on their faces. Oma stayed by Akachi's side the whole time, tending to him. On the 7th day, Akachi woke up and told his parents and Oma about a very long dream he had, where his female private part was removed by an old man. His parents and Oma stared at each other with a puzzled look. "Could it be that your female private part is gone?" Oma asked. "I don't know for sure, but I want to find out," Akachi replied. He told Oma and his parents to wait outside the hut for him to examine himself. Akachi was relieved and glad to find only his male private part present. "It is gone!" he shouted. "It is gone!" his voice breaking as emotions washed over him. His parents and Oma rushed into the hut. They knew what he meant by "it is gone," and they were glad to know that his years of suffering had finally ended. Akachi got married to Oma and they both had 6 children and lived peacefully for many years. The curse was broken and Amatu was saved from calamity. What would you do if you found out that your current partner has both male and female private parts? Would you go ahead and marry them, or would you call off the wedding? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And until I bring another interesting story your way again, bye for now.